39 points on the night. Penetrating in the lane, blocked. Edwards got it.
Edwards, right up at the rim, got the block. He's fired up about it. Thunder will have 6 seconds to potentially tie this game at 131.
They get it into SGA, down by 3. Shea puts it up, off the heel, tapped out. Minnesota pulls off a shocker against the Thunder from 25 down.
The stare down, though, that's everything for me. It was a crazy end to an amazing regular season series between OKC and Minnesota. The series was decided by a combined 3 points as the team split it 2-2. But it's important to note that Julius Randle missed 3 of those 4 games, so we weren't totally at full strength. All right, Marcus Moore's back here with me in New York. We got Gil, SA coming to you. Which team has the advantage in Game 1?
I think in Game 1, it's Minnesota because Oklahoma City had a 7-game series against Denver, whereas Minnesota finished off, their series obviously in 5. And as a result, I think they have a few extra days rest. And I think in a game like this, rust could play a factor. We can't ignore the potentiality of that, but I don't believe that's going to be the case. I think Minnesota has the advantage for Game 1. And OKC obviously could be in a 1-0 hole. That's how I view it because primarily of rest. I'm not ignoring the fact that against Ant-Man, particularly this season, just looking at them in their series, they've gone up against each other about 16 times, like a 9-7 record against one another, Ant-Man and SGA. SGA is averaging like 29.8 on 50% shooting. So whenever he goes up against Ant-Man in this squad, he ain't too fazed by it. But Julius Randle being back should be of help. But SGA is going to be SGA. I just think on a game like tonight, the fact that Minnesota had that rest and they're healthy and ready to go, whereas OKC had to endure a 7-game series, I would say tonight the edge goes to Minnesota.
Gil?
I don't know if you've seen the last game, but they look like they was well rested right there. Right? I don't even know if they played in the 4th quarter. So that was a day off. That was a day off for them.
They didn't.
Those guys are, 22 years old. They don't need no days off. Actually, sometimes in the playoffs, too many days off kind of hurts you. It hurts chemistry a little bit. It takes away from what you was building on. So, in this series, Game 1, I agree that Wolves have the advantage, but I'm going to go with OKC because they just finished playing, so they're in rhythm. Their shots is down. They're in sync. They're right here. I think they think that was the hardest team that they played. So going into this series, I think Game 1 is the most important for them. So I think they're going to come out here and just, try to take it first 5 minutes.
Marcus?
Denver definitely wasn't the hardest team that OKC going to have to face. I think Denver just end up barely beating the Clippers, which I felt like Clippers probably would have been a better series against OKC. But I think OKC has the edge in this one, right? You're at home. It's the first game of the tournament, and quite frankly, SGA is playing at a high level. I think he's found his footing. So it'd be like very intricate to see if he continues to build off those last 3 games. Actually, we shot 60% from the floor, right? Like he's basically found where his shot needs to be at, and I think I got to give them the edge. But having those extra days off for a team that's locked in like Minnesota, I don't think it actually hurts them. Like I think it gives them time to be able to scout and watch OKC and how they're approaching this playoffs. Obviously, the matchup is different, and you got to bring different things to the table. But I got to give it to OKC because of the way SGA closed out those last 3 games.
OKC's favored by 7.5 tonight. Stephen A.
I also got to pay attention to this. Do y'all know that Rudy Gobert, Dante DiVincenzo, and Julius Randle only played in 1 game against OKC this year? So I'm looking at that as well. And I'm saying to myself, okay, what's OKC going to be when you got those 3 brothers on the court to deal with along with Ant-Man? It remains to be seen. I don't blame anybody for feeling whatever they're feeling because I think this is going to be that close of a series. But those are the kind of things that I'm looking at to decide whether or not, what's going to happen in this series personally. That's just me.
And that's a big difference. Having those guys out and splitting, and now they're back, that's a big difference because now what are you actually scouting through the regular season because the Minnesota Timberwolves wasn't at full strength, right? Like even what you've seen them in these two series that they played against. Like if you're scouting them off that, then it's like, okay, we have to change our entire game plan that we had throughout the regular season that ended up in a 2-2 split. So now with that being said, I say I'm happy that you said it because I didn't know that. I might have to change my answer now because now you implemented 3 really good players. We're not just talking about anybody. Like we're not talking about bench guys. We're talking about Julius Randle that's possibly having one of the best playoff series, the best playoffs right now of any player in the league, right? Like so. I'm changing mine now. Like I said, I appreciate that because now I'm changing. I'm going with Minnesota.
Gil?
Well, I'm glad you said that that Julius wasn't there because they played better without Julius because that's what they've used to playing with. I think when they threw him into this war zone, he's been trying to find his footing. So the fact that he didn't play against them and now his style is in this series, that's great for OKC because his style is one-on-one basketball. They know how to load up. They know how to switch everything. They got 2 7-footers back there. So the fact that his style is not move it around, let's move this ball, and it's just give me the ball, let's play one-on-one basketball, I think they're going to key in on that. So
it hasn't been that, though. It hasn't been that. He's averaging 6 assists.
Hey, fellas.
This series.
I got a question. I got a question for both of y'all. I get where you're coming from with Julius Randle, but that one-on-one stuff, even though he does it, Gil, it was more so with the New York Knicks and him launching jump shots. In this instance, he might get that way sometimes, but he's getting physical. Now, we look at Hartenstein, legitimate big man. Chet Holmgren is tall. There's nothing big about him. So, yeah, he can ball, he can play, but he's also thin. And I'm wondering what kind of effect Julius Randle's potential physicality, along with that of Rudy Gobert, you believe will have on Oklahoma City? I'm going to ask you that question first, Gil, and then Marcus, you take it away. Go ahead, Gil.
Yeah, I don't, when you have 2 7-footers back there and you got a guy who's all left hand, he wants to bump first, then try to get to his jump shot. And you got 2 guys who can take that hit and still challenge that shot. It's going to be interesting, to be honest, but I think this series is really going to see what he can do. Like he's been great against the 40-year-old, and he's been great last series where they didn't have anybody, right? We're talking about Golden State Warriors here. They didn't have nobody there. So this is a new series. This is a taller series, and these guys want to win. They just played a 3-time MVP, a big. And they shut him down. So playing against Julius right now is lunch meat for them.
Yeah, but it's a different dynamic. Jokic is back to the basket, right? Like he's catching it at the top and he's dribbling. Julius Randle's catching it all over the floor. He's bringing the ball up. He's creating a transition. He does use his body, and I think that will go against Chet Holmgren because Chet Holmgren is a slim player. Like he can use his body and be super aggressive in that area. And I think he actually might play Chet off the court. One of them bigs are not going to be able to play for OKC. Like you're going to have to spread that out, and maybe like even if you watch at the end, they didn't win with Hartenstein. They won with Caruso guarding a big fella, right? So I think that dynamic might actually change. I think that if Julius Randle does play well, you might have to figure out how to get Chet minutes because now that big body does play a part. He has the length, but if you put your body on him like Julius Randle, aggressive dog, he's figuring out where to play. And under Finch, he's a way different player than he was in New York. He's had a lot of success under Finch, and Finch is getting this guy to play the right way.